First, I also got to introduce the general manager of the Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey, and the co-founder with Jessica Gelman of the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. Was supposed to ask you some sort of nice softball question about how much the conference is.
That's not you. You went to Northwestern. Go straight to
Northwestern Wildcat here about like how much the conference has grown, and Barack Obama was the keynote speaker here last year and all of that. But instead, I just got to open with, why do you still have a beard? Because you promised all of us that you would shave it when James Harden's 30-point streak ended.
That's what I thought I heard.
And really,
it's the 28-point per game streak. He's chasing Wilt. He's at 44 games, I think. So
shifting the goalpost. A lot of white in the beard. Are you disturbed by how much white's in the beard?
Wow.
I think each white hair is, a sign of intelligence.
It's wisdom.
Okay, yeah, it's
there's
wisdom,
a player.
exactly.
Dwight Howard is responsible for some of that
Paul
in there.
only has one. I think he's just got one in there.
I need a microscope.
Well, we're talking about James Harden and the streak or no streak. 58 points last night. He's been piling up such a tremendous scoring clip all season. Give me your MVP case. You are here on national television. Give it to us. Why should he win MVP this year again?
Have you seen our team? We have we have nobody available all year. We've had guys in and out, and thank goodness we're more or less healthy. Although we had 3 major guys out yesterday again. I mean, when we were under 500, and James said, "I'm putting this team on my back. I'm in my prime. We're going to win this title this year." And I think we're 23-11 or something like that while he was during the streak. So I don't know what else you're supposed to do. And I think he's chasing Michael Jordan's record for points per game, the non-Wilt record.
The non-Wilt record, yeah.
The non-Wilt record, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's like Cy. They should put Wilt in a whole, Cy Young. No one talks about him anymore. Wilt should be put there, and this is the modern record.
Well, this is one of the guys you have to convince. Paul, you've said that on your MVP list, Giannis is first right now in terms of where things are.
Well, based on the NBA, based on the criteria on what we place the MVP as every year, it's usually the best player on the best team. But look, if James Harden does not win the MVP this year, he may go down in history as one of the greatest second-place vote getters
He already
of
has
all
that,
time.
though.
No, but look what he's had to face in 3 of the
We're
last.
sick of second place in Houston.
3 of the last 5 years, he's finished second, first, second, and only due to like a historic season from Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Another season, Russell Westbrook averages a triple-double. He finished in second, and now he has to face Antetokounmpo. I mean, this guy realistically could be on his 3rd or 4th MVP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I respect the Giannis pick. It's winning. You picked Kawhi that one year.
2 years ago,
I think you have to win and be amazing. You have to have both. So, so I respect those other picks, but I think James is pretty
Can you
clear.
handicap where you think the race is right now?
I think.
Who are you voting for,
I
Zach?
don't know who I'm voting for. First of all, I think it's a 3-man race. I think Paul George is in the race. He's not just in the conversation.
But he's in the actual race.
He's in the race. I think right now Giannis would win. I think a lot of voters would default to best record, best player.
If
it's close, then
that's
then
usually what it goes by, and I don't necessarily always agree by it, because if it didn't go by that, then hands down, what James Harden is doing is very MVP-ish.
The Houston media market doesn't have a vote. We have 5 million people and no vote. So
you can register that with the NBA.
Exactly.
I know the guys in the league office are watching, so you can lodge that process right here. We do want to ask you one thing about the conference, which is that you've sort of been responsible for so much of the rise of analytics being an effective tool for NBA teams. Could you explain to Paul,
the inventor of the step back?
Right. Apparently, if you look at him,
you're never going to live that down.
No.
Could you
He's like Al Gore, invented the internet.
I didn't invent it. I just made it a little more famous.
I was there, though.
You guys have Boston ties together. I believe, Daryl, you may have been in Boston when Kevin Garnett. Can you repeat what you told me off air, but the clean version, please?
I don't know if there's a clean version of anything Kevin Garnett
said. We'll beep a lot while you talk.
Well, Kevin Garnett, his thing about analytics, he was like, okay, you can measure numbers, but you can't measure Harden. Beep. I'll let you fill in the
anatomy.
Yeah. I'll let you fill in the bag.
Okay. I would say Kevin Garnett should be the biggest fan of analytics ever, because it shows that he was one of the most underrated players of all time.
I agree, by the way. I think he's historically underrated.
Absolutely. He was carrying Minnesota teams to 50 wins that had no business winning 50 wins, and he knows how great he was. He played with them. He was one of the top few impactful defensive players of all time. I mean, top 5 for sure. So anyway, he should be the biggest fan of analytics out there.
Well, we're putting Paul through the paces. He was on a panel this morning, so he's getting over to your side. I did want to hit you too with just a big picture Rockets question, which is that you like to say you're never done tinkering with the roster, right? And when this season started, not how you would have wanted it to, you went out there, and in addition to rotating through a lot of G League players, you went out and brought in Austin Rivers. You brought in Kenneth Faried. At the deadline, you brought in Iman Shumpert. There are a lot of teams, frankly, that could have used some of those exact pieces, and we didn't see them making those kind of tinkers. You didn't have to compete with them. What is it about the way you approach this job that lets you identify pieces like that, see who's ripe for a trade or plucking or anything, and then get to them before everyone else does?
I would say first I got to give credit to our environment with James Harden, Chris Paul, and Mike D'Antoni, and obviously Houston. People want to play with us. So these guys like Kenneth Faried, Austin Rivers, when they become available, they have almost 30 options, right? And so the fact that they are interested in us and pick us, you got to give a lot of credit to James Harden. People like to play with him. People like to play with Coach D'Antoni, Chris Paul. And the other thing is Coach D'Antoni allows me to gamble. He allows me to go after players that maybe haven't been fits other places, and he'll figure out how to fit them in. So I'd credit our environment.
Excellent. I got producer Danny saying we got to go to break. Give me a grade on how Daryl has done with the tinkering this season.
A minus.
That's like a draft grade.
I can't give a straight A off the top of my head.
You got to leave room. You got to leave room.
There you go.
Listen, their system's so great.
Pick for
I could probably still get buckets in that system.
You can get buckets.
Future tinkering move right there is
like
bringing back Paul Pierce.
Shoot right there, stand in the corner, wait for James to pass it.
Boom. Thank you so much, Daryl, for stopping by. Congratulations. This
you.
conference has been just an amazing success, and we love being here every year. It's like little NBA reunions all over the place. I love the way the league is invested here.